Hello, everybody. It's Mr. B from Pint of Stuff here, and we are doing something ever so slightly different with the podcast this week. We're actually streaming it live on YouTube right now as we record. So that's what we're doing. We're also, obviously, if you're listening to this on audio, we're on all your favorite podcast platforms as ever. SJ, are we not?
We are, yes.
We are not. So I think the first thing I always ask you to do is to press the button.
Sneakers and Stories, a podcast from Pint of Stuff with Mr. B and SJ.
Boom. Yeah, so we're recording the podcast live, which is kind of novel. We don't have a guest this week, but we do kind of have a topic. I think SJ.
We do.
We
We have a very
I don't know whether it's an interesting topic.
Oh, there's people popped up in the chat, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yes, we weren't.
So hi Tone and hi Ryan.
Yes.
So if you missed the start of this, because we are doing this live, Mr. B said that obviously we are doing a podcast live this week rather than recording it, just because it's quicker.
It's quicker for us to get it onto YouTube, if I'm honest. That's one of the challenges. So for people who are listening, this doesn't really affect you, but for people on YouTube, you get to see this live. So yeah, we don't have a guest this week.
And it's just us two.
It's just us two and the dog who's sitting with us now. But this week, SJ, finally, the Air Jordan 1 Dior.
For those of you listening to this on the podcast, there was a real sneer in Mr. B's face when he said the word Dior.
Dior. But yeah, so obviously they're landing in the streets. We know people who have
landing in the street.
Well, I don't think Dior's ever in the streets, if I'm honest. But I just wanted to sort of center this week's podcast around the high fashion infiltrating the world of sneakers and I suppose streetwear, but which, to be fair, has always been the case. But I think Dior have now taken it to another level, haven't they, SJ?
They've taken it to a level, yeah.
They've taken it to another level.
Yeah.
So we in the UK, we undernard about going in for a draw to have the chance to purchase said sneaker. But how much is said sneaker, SJ? The Air Jordan 1?
Well, there wasn't much in and ahhing from me. Mine was absolute rolling around laughter when I saw it. So I thought they were originally going to be £1,500, which is a silly amount of money.
It is.
But they're actually 1,800 of your great British pounds, people.
Which I think would push them over $2,000. Which is like a phenomenal amount of money. However, whoa. So that's a ridiculous amount of money. It is. It's definitely a ridiculous amount of money. But, and there is a but here.
Okay.
Because if you've got £1,800 over $2,000 and you do get them and you trust the aftermarket price if you trust the aftermarket price to maintain where it's at the moment and the market not to crash, I had a quick look at what they cost on StockX in your size.
Go on then.
They are currently sitting at £19,011, and for our US listeners, that I think roughly equates to $23,400 which is. Right, I don't have the brain capacity to compute who or that amount of money on a pair of sneakers, but there are people out there that can pay that. However, if you so just think about that.
Can I just say?
Yep.
Our first apartment cost like £52,000.
An apartment.
Right? An apartment. You could actually buy a house in like Stoke-on-Trent
for the same
sort of price a few years ago. I'm not sure if you still can. I've been out of that land for a while, but yeah, I found like the cheapest 2-bedroom house in the country, and it was like £22,000. So there you go. You're only £3,000 short of buying a house.
But then I was thinking, if that price remains, this is a bit of a shrewd investment. There's not many investments where you know, like that's over a 10x return. Like, you won't get that kind of return that quickly, putting that money in a bank. You definitely won't. You
won't, but don't you have to pay a luxury goods tax on something if you sell it of such a value? Which is actually, like, I haven't resold anything that's
luxury.
that's luxury. But I believe on StockX, if it's over a certain amount, because isn't it going to the US?
Well, some of them might
cases,
be if they're going to the US.
There's then this like luxury tax, and I'm not sure how much that is. But yeah, I mean, you'd still obviously make a fair bit back, but I just feel that there's so many risks involved in it that there's no way that I would want to get involved in that.
And actually, one of our viewers has just confirmed that there is a tax in StockX, and from a pound point of view, it's anything over roughly 645 UK pounds.
Okay, interesting.
That's actually not a very high threshold.
No,
it's
I mean,
not a high threshold.
You can't buy a decent designer bag for that.
No, you can't. You can't, and you would know. So I think, like from a return point of view, if you do get them, it's phenomenal. But I do wonder. I am kind of like, this high end luxury. I know the materials are nuts. I saw a video on YouTube a long time ago that like outlined those materials, but I don't know whether they're £1,800 worth of materials.
No, they're not.
But then that kind of got me thinking, SJ.
Mm-hmm.
It got me thinking about other high-end brands that have tried to get into this space. Or not tried, they are in this space.
They're very much in this space, and they're very much part of the current hype culture.
They are part of the current hype culture. That's a definite. But then we had a little look. I hadn't thought about these, but the Louis Vuitton Supreme collab that is still like, and I've got to be honest. I think they're about £850, maybe. Oh no, maybe
weren't they that to buy retail at the time?
Or maybe they're in the 400 racket. But like, first of all, I was just like, what on earth do they look like?
They're disgusting.
Like, I am so not feeling them at all. But then that got us talking, and so we were discussing. Okay, so are there any high-end brands in the maison du fashion? Les maisons in the house, because that's how they talk about themselves. We are in the house, les maisons. Sorry, I have to say, I'm not going to go the maison in the maison in the maison du fashion. It just doesn't flow, or maybe I don't know. Anyway, so we was thinking about that, and so and this might be quite controversial for some people's thinking.
Go on.
I don't like Off-White. I don't like their sneakers.
I don't like their sneakers. They look cheap as. They look like
knockoffs.
They look like knockoff Nikes a lot of the time, with a distinctive sole.
Yeah.
On some of them.
Yeah, and again,
I always say, like, there was a few years ago, I went to Harrods to buy you a Christmas present.
Oh, you went to
Harrods? A little bit of a hypey present. Oh,
you bought me
the only place in the country I could get it.
You bought me a hypey present.
I did.
You're buying me a hypey present?
No. I bought it for you, and you love it.
I do love it, but you have to explain. Right. First of all, before we get there, just tell people how it's not that hypey.
It's not that hype, but anyway.
All right, we'll get to it.
I went to Harrods at Christmas, which is just like
you don't want to do that.
Never ever want to do that.
But you might want to just explain what Harrods is.
Oh, so Harrods is a really high-end department store in the UK. If you
what would be the US
London.
equivalent?
I don't think the US equivalent exists anymore.
What was it? You would
God,
say?
I can't think what it was called.
What's on Fifth Avenue?
Is it Berghoff Goodman's?
Yes.
Yes.
That's,
I guess
that's
it's
exactly
the
what
equivalent
it
of Berghoff Goodman. Have I said that right?
No, probably not. But you know what we're like with
But
pronunciation.
you know what we mean. So yeah, I went there this Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And all around Knightsbridge and that part of London, all I saw was these little kids that had obviously just got out of school, like posh little kids in all their little off-white. And at that point, I was like, nah, I can never buy anything from this brand because it's not cool anymore. When you see the Chelsea teenage kids in it, it's like, nah, it's lost it.
See that I don't know whether that's you judging.
Yeah, it is. It's me judging very much because I spent
SJ.
A lot of time in Chelsea. But yes, I am.
A lot of time in Chelsea.
I did spend a lot of time. 7 years of my life every day.
So I think so we kind of like we then continued the conversation, and what we. We were then like, well, what about all of those Prada sneakers? And just for transparency, like we do have a friend who is obsessed
with Prada,
anything Prada, obsessed, but probably needs some help on the shoe front. And but that's him. Like that's his style. Like it wouldn't be the same without wearing those Prada shoes, sneakers. They're so bad, and I feel really bad for saying like we've told this to him in his face.
Oh yes, very much told him to his face. You've got Transformer shoes on. It's like an ongoing joke.
Yes, but then so terrible shoe. Like I'm sure they're made of the finest Italian leather, whatever that means, because I'm sure it comes from the same cow. They're not like hand reared to be anyway. I don't know, like what's the difference between Prada leather and once Nike actually uses leather? Like what's the difference? It's all come from an abattoir.
You're talking to a vegetarian here. Probably not the right person.
But there was a Prada Adidas. I said Adidas. I can't believe it. That's because I've been talking to my team this week, and so. Every now and again I slip into Adidas rather than Adidas. But there was a collab between them and Prada, wasn't there?
There was, and it was quite an exclusive collab, and our friend managed to get them for his wife. He actually sent a colleague in London to get them, and they came in like this box, like this, like
huge
massive.
box.
And my old work colleague.
Yeah, what did he do?
He actually had to take an additional suitcase on his flight to take it.
Oh, that's funny. But are they just Stan Smiths with Prada stamped on them?
Yes, they are.
Right. Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, I think the leather is from an Italian fancy cow rather than a cheap, chavvy British cow.
A cheap British cow. What are you saying about our cows?
I don't know.
What are you saying about our cows? Are our cows not as good as Italian cows? This is very confusing.
Based upon
this isn't Brexit cast, you know.
Brexit cast.
This is Sneakers and Stories.
Anyway, those Adidas sneakers, I think they were £750.
Yeah.
I think, but they did come with a bag as well. They came with a Prada bowling bag,
and it was a nice bag.
It was a very nice
bag. Very nice bag
in white.
But they were just.
But they were really just a pair of Stan Smiths. I guess you were really paying for the bag.
Of course. So Tone, who was on the podcast last week, has he's just mentioned to us on the chat stream on the live recording that we're doing of this podcast that he really likes Alexander Wang and Valentino, but and we've talked about the Wang.
But I really like the Wang. See, Adidas have a really interesting history of collaborating with fashion designers, fashion houses. And I really did like the Alexander Wang collab. And we talked about that on the podcast. Like, those shoes were nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it, though. The leather on the ones that you tried on
yep.
was very nice.
Yeah.
but it isn't that different to that lovely suede rather than leather.
Yep.
On your Adidas, the SSTs.
Oh, is it the ST03?
Yeah, the skateboarding ones.
Yeah.
That material is so similar.
Suede is similar for sure. For sure, definitely.
And the price point, there would have been like $150 difference between the two pairs of sneakers.
See, it was the low BB shoes from 2 years ago that I really liked. Like really felt like I love the combination of Boost in there and just the materials. They felt, I don't know, like you'd never wear them on court, I'm sure. Well, I don't know. Would you wouldn't, to be honest, you're never going to see me on a court ever. I've got like the coordination of a bat. No, I think bats are probably quite coordinated, aren't they? The coordination of, I don't know. I don't know what the coordination point would be, but I don't have that kind of coordination or skills. I can just about move my feet, bringing in hands and feet.
Yeah, all right, you're going on a bit.
I know, sorry.
Go back to the shoes. But also I think Adidas as well have done some very interesting collabs with like Neighborhood, for example.
True.
Like that time when I had that morning free in Berlin before I flew back, I went to this amazing store.
Where was this?
In Berlin.
In Berlin.
I did just say that.
Sorry, I missed that bit.
In Mitte District. And it's one of those places where
Mitte? Is it in Mitte District?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those places where you don't know where it is because it's not named on the front, and it just has this whole street with just have really cool shops, and they just had these graffiti shutters, so you had to sort of guess which one it was.
Yep, go on.
And they had like every decent, unusual Adidas collab you'd ever find. They had so much stuff in there, but just because it was a men's shop, there wasn't really anything to fit me, which was really annoying. So they had all of the Neighborhood stuff. They had all the Y3. They had Ralph Simons. They had all sorts in there, and it was cool. It wasn't high fashion Met. It was more cool collabs.
So then, I suppose then my question to you is, so Adidas are able to make, it seems, cool collabs. The brands themselves struggle with cool shoes or sneakers or just nice ones. What's Nike doing wrong? Or like,
I don't think they're necessarily doing anything wrong. I think the difference is that Adidas have done those collabs and have had a fairly reasonable and more affordable price point, like £200, £300,
you
dollars.
do know for a lot of people,
I know
that's
not reasonable, but it's not. It's still expensive, but it's not £1,800 expensive. It's not even a pair of Gucci sneakers at £600 expensive.
True.
It's if you want that little bit of flex, dare I say it, you're not paying as much as you would for a pure designer piece, which is actually not as nice.
That's fair.
But you are really just paying for a fancy pair of Stan Smiths, like I have done with my Stella McCartneys.
But you bought those as well because they were vegan and you were interested in them.
That is true. I'm just looking at some of the comments in the chat as well. So Andy, who we've had on the podcast, he is saying that Wang and Adidas is hit and miss, which is quite interesting.
Yes.
All the ones I've seen and held were really nice. Tone again was on the podcast. He's just ordered another pair of Wangs. Jay Dolan is saying that the Neighborhood Adidas leathers are very nice. And Jay Dolan is saying Nike have some good high fashion collabs, Off-White, Fear of God, which are a good price point. Again, yeah, I agree that they have done some really, like the Fear of God stuff is really cool. And it's, it's still expensive, but it's not really, really expensive.
And
it's still I'm going to say it, an extremely considered purchase for a lot of people.
It is an extremely considered purchase. Then to follow from that, then to follow that comment, would we consider Off-White and Fear of God high fashion? They're like, Virgil's clearly obviously dancing around the world at the moment, doing his thing. But would we, like, would Jerry Lorenzo consider himself high fashion, or just he is what he is, whereas the brands in the maison would consider themselves, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, do you just see where I'm going with that
I do.
that train of thought?
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, Andy, who's in the chat, he's saying a high-end streetwear. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, materials on Off-White clothing that I've touched isn't that great. However, some of the Fear of God stuff that I have picked up in Selfridges, when I've looked at stuff for you, has been really, really nice. But there was just no way I was going to spend the money, I'm afraid. Sorry.
So that's okay. So then when we think about that, then and another conversation that SJ and I were having while we were thinking about this topic was, come back to Dior, and I say it again because I'm not a fan. They obviously got a pair of high tops that look like I think you described them as fake Converse.
Yeah, they do look like fake Converse.
I actually love the description. They're fake Converse.
Well, we saw that I've seen them, and I've seen the old-fashioned influencer wearing them, and they are horrible. They're like really not nice. And we went to when we were in London last year, we went to the Presented by, the resale shop, our terrible version of Flight Club for those in the US, and they had these Dior fake Converse. Yeah, and I remember you picking it up. You've forgotten this, and you were like, 1,200 quid. They're having a laugh.
Did I really do that? That sounds like me. That definitely sounds like me. It's I just like
And actually, so we got up early and went to Aldi to do our food shop.
We did.
We go to Aldi to save money on food to buy sneakers.
Yeah.
But there was this woman in
You might need to describe what Aldi is to our US listeners.
Aldi is kind of like a Trader Joe.
Yes.
Actually, I really like Trader Joe.
Love Trader
Shop
Joe's.
there all the time.
Oh, I miss Trader Joe's.
Miss Trader Joe's. Oh, they're organic lemon tea, iced tea.
Trail mix.
Anyway, there was this lady in the queue to get in, because we're still queuing to get into grocery stores, and she had a pair on, and I was just looked at them and I was just like, no. One, it was absolutely boiling, and I was just like, no, your feet are going to be hot and sweaty in those, because it has like this weird sort of like a plastic sheet thing on it.
It does.
I don't know.
It does. I don't know. They just like, so Aldi is owned by Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I thought it was actually.
Or is Trader Joe's owned by Aldi, Tone? That is the question.
I didn't realise they have Aldi on the East Coast.
I didn't know they had Aldi on the East Coast. Well, there you go. We live and learn. Because we've only ever lived in the Bay Area, and Bay Area for life, by the way. But yeah, I didn't know that. But the thing I was going to say is, so obviously I looked at those fake Converse. We're going to say that those fake looking Converse by Dior that have just their logo printed all over the plastic.
Yeah.
And it did remind me, is there a Dior discount shop at Bicester Village?
Yeah, there is.
Because I swear the only other handbags that they ever had were those plastic ones with their logo printed on 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, probably. I'm not a massive Dior fan. I don't own anything from Dior.
No.
I like some of the dresses, John Galliano era, but everything else, nah.
He's
hideous.
had some problems, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's still a design genius, but yeah. Yeah, all those saddlebags, nah. Tacky ass.
Tacky. So, sorry, fashion
So
house.
we've kind of gone a bit off piece. But yeah, just going back to, you were saying, what have Nike done wrong? I think...
Well, not wrong,
they
but
haven't done anything wrong, because it's a J1 and it is a nice looking sneaker, but they've just obviously chucked the D that's all over the fake Converse onto the swoosh of the Jordan 1, done it in the slightly lighter grey, and have gone, here's your sneaker, give me 1,800 quid, basically.
Completely. And so I think, obviously, lots of our listeners and our viewers on YouTube and friends in our community know that we're well into Nike SB, but Nike overall, I do struggle with it sometimes, which brings me on to something that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
And then it was about Dunks, because it wouldn't be a Sneakers and Stories podcast if we didn't talk about Dunks at some point.
Yep.
Comme des Garçons.
Sorry.
Oh dear, SJ, you've been smoking again. No,
No,
SJ
I
doesn't
haven't.
smoke. She doesn't smoke. She only likes chocolate and cookies. So obviously Comme des Garçons and Nike come together to collab on Dunks. They make them out of a sort of plasticky type material. They print their logo all over. They're like £250.
I sound like a hypocrite.
What's the difference?
Yeah, I know.
What is it about Comme des Garçons for you versus Dior?
I do sound like an absolute hypocrite, don't I?
So you hadn't thought this through, had you?
I had. So for me, like Dior, like even though you've got Kim Jones at Dior, I still find it's a bit of an old ladies brand.
Wow.
I can't get away from that. I can't.
We heard that here. Dior equals old ladies brand. Wow. Not what I was expecting you to say. Not at all what I was expecting you to say.
I don't know. Whereas Comme des Garçons is a cool brand.
Is it? How are you defining cool?
Oh God.
How are you, is this SJ's? We should turn this podcast into
SJ's
Cool
Girls.
Girl.
According to SJ, I don't know, but also okay.
Yeah.
The material that they've used is the same. It's not It's not plasticky.
Mm-hmm.
It's the material that they used on the Element Reacts.
Ah, I didn't.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
Which is why I kept saying, please do not buy me a pair, because if I do attempt to purchase a pair, because I know that they still may be dropping on Selfridges, I want to go up half a size because I don't think there'll be any giving them. I digress. But
yes. Go
also,
on.
yeah, they're still a lot of money, but they're not £1,800 a lot of money.
And
also, I like them. I do like the Dior ones. I think
Yeah.
it's lazy. There's just no way in hell I'd ever pay 1,800 quid for them. And also, I'm not a Dior fan, whereas I like Comme des Garçons, and they're a dunk, and I like them. Sorry, I'm just laughing at one of the
So
comments.
we just have to read. We have to read this. We have to read these two comments to our listeners that we've just got, because I think they're kind of interesting. So a regular member of our community, Mr. O, Jordan Dior is the biggest money grab waste in recent years. Comme des Garçons is overpriced, but in the realm of Yeezy, are Jordan pinnacle models. So Tone then comes in, and I think this relates to what you were saying. I think dresses with shoulder pads when I think of Dior. And that's it. I think that's spot on. Like, yes. Like, I genuinely, I don't know. Like, it's just not what, like, I know the beauty of what we have as a community is that, and as a bunch of people, a bunch of human beings on the planet, the beauty of it is that we all like different things. And there are some people out there that love Dior, and that's okay. It's just not for me, and I think like £1,800. Come on, you're having a laugh, mate.
Exactly. But yeah, I do get what you're saying about the Comme des Garçons thing. I haven't bought them.
Yeah. No.
I haven't bought them
Well,
yet.
we talked about that. We talked about that at the start. Like, I think from an investment point of view, if you do get them and you can flip them immediately, like, you're not going to make any better investment this year. 10-time return in a day. Yeah, but in 2 days. It's just a risk. But
it is a risk, and it also feels like a hassle, because you'd have to go and pick them up, and then there's just going to be like complete and utter
chaos
and idiots there, which I just couldn't deal
But you'd
with.
invest in an Uber or something from where we live.
You'd invest in Ubers just to go there, wait for us, and like run out, jump in it, and go.
I would.
Drive.
I would. It'd be like drive. It'd be literally like a
stealth mission.
It'd be a stealth mission stroke bank raid where I'm actually paying money and not stealing money. Where I literally leave the engine running. I'm going to be back. SJ, sit in car. I'm going up to the 3rd floor or wherever Dior is in Selfridges. Boom, 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 boom. And then I'd be like,
the men's, it probably is.
It's the 3rd floor. I'm sure of it. I know it's been a while. But yeah, so it's kind of looks. But then, like, I think, there's a lot of people talking about Yeezy in the chat at the moment. And I think, obviously, the whole point with Yeezy was eventually that the masses are going to get it. Or that's one of the things that he said. He said Kanye said that everybody should be able to get Yeezy. That's me paraphrasing him. Obviously, he said a lot more than that. But I think the interesting thing would be, we're talking about that, and they've gone from costing more money. Obviously, there being a huge resale market for, still there a little bit, but it's coming down to the thing that you showed me yesterday of Yeezy and the Gap collaborating, which kind of blew my mind.
But I actually think that's a really logical, when you think about it, it's really logical.
Why is that?
Because the Yeezy clothes, the aesthetics are very like utility.
That's true.
Neutral colours.
Very true.
And if you think of what Gap does well, utility, khaki, neutral colours.
Yeah.
So I think mash the two. But
who's benefiting more from that collab?
I think they're both going to benefit each other, aren't they? I mean,
really?
Gap aren't they
struggling?
Gap are struggling like hell and have been for years. Yeezy's clothes have never sold that well because the price point.
Okay.
Or they, like the price point puts people off anyway.
That's true.
So I think a mashup of the two, I think that's actually quite exciting.
Interesting. That's interesting. I think so I think that's I think that's one way to look at it. I think it fulfills what Kanye said originally about Yeezy. I think that it's the Gap that are getting more out of it than Yeezy. I wonder if this is the last throw of the dice for the Gap.
Yeah, maybe. And it also, it does benefit them more. It brings a younger crowd that just have not wanted to engage with that brand.
Completely. Do you blame them?
I can't remember the last time I bought something from Gap.
As far as I'm concerned, the Gap hasn't changed since 1998. I was fully into buying the Gap then. On sale, of course. Best sales in the world. And as Andy's, so here's a great comment from Andy, who we've had on the podcast. He says, Gap benefit from the product, Yeezy benefit from the production side and scale of distribution.
Yeah, see, Andy actually said that in a way.
Articulate
way. He articulated it far better than what I was trying to say. But yeah, I'm actually quite excited for that, to be honest. I like
this, but. So to counter this, and I love this comment from Tone that we've just had in. So the Yeezy Gap collab feels like Fear of God being available at PacSun. Really, Tone?
I don't know. No, I'm not convinced on that. Like PacSun's quality of like its own branded stuff is far worse than the Gap.
Oh yes.
Far worse.
Yes.
And PacSun, if you're in the UK, it's kind of like.
What is it like? What is PacSun like?
Oof.
How would we describe? So people who've been to the US, who are in the UK, how would we describe PacSun? Because it's kind of like where you get all your, I don't know, like so when we first went to the US, I got very excited about PacSun because I could get all of the brands that I liked there, but it's sort of gone downhill. It's like a high street skate-y shop.
I really don't want to say it, but I guess it's kind of a little bit like Route 1, but
Yes.
more high street.
Exactly.
It's like Route 1 that sells brands, like some skate brands and some other random brands. But then it also has its own clothing side, which is kind of Primark level.
Yes, that's a very good description for our UK listeners and viewers. But yeah, as I said, I did get very excited about PacSun when we first went to the US, and then that excitement soon faded when I actually discovered the skate shops in the local vicinity and left them all as best I could because I wasn't a fan of our local mall. So SJ, and I was looking at some of the comments that we're getting live while we record this on YouTube. And for our listeners, we are recording this live on YouTube so that we can distribute to YouTube as quickly as I can get this out onto the podcast platforms. So I have a final sort of, I suppose not final, not final, no,
Okay.
but I have another question for you.
Okay.
So you've got Jordan and Dior. They've obviously coming out with a Jordan 1 high, and I think they're coming out with the Jordan 1 low.
There's clothes as well. So there's like a sweater.
Is there?
That has the Jordan Wings signs logo thingy.
Yeah.
Then it has Air Dior on it.
Dior.
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 Dior, darling.
Dior, darling.
And it's just like really wanky.
This is a very clean, family-friendly podcast, so hopefully that word won't get us caught up into any kind of strange situation. But what I wanted to ask you was, so if we don't rate that as a collab, what other high-end brand should they go to work with, and what shoe profile or silhouette would you put them on?
Well, I actually think.
Yes. What do you think?
I think my favourite one, and I don't own a pair.
Yes.
Is actually the Comme des Garçons and Converse collab, because it stays true to both brands, and it's not an astronomical price point.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's just a chuck with the iconic heart and eyes.
That's fair.
You can tell what it is a mile away, which is kind of what you want.
That's true.
Something. If you're spending the designer money, that's kind of what you're doing it for. Let's be honest. So yeah, I think from.
Yeah, come on.
But I guess that is more of a streetwear brand than a high fashion brand.
Sorry, I've got to just pick you up on that. Comme des Garçons is a streetwear brand. What are you talking about?
Well, not.
I thought they were into high-end tailoring.
Well, they are into high-end tailoring, but I mean the label that we like, or I like, is the diffusion.
Diffusion line.
Yeah.
From Comme des Garçons. So you want them to do more Nike collabs?
I didn't say that. I'm not really that fussed on.
All right, so
if there's going to be a collab, like I really like obviously my APC, but that's like high-end high street rather than
yeah,
in France anyway.
In France, that's true.
So, it's just I'm not really into.
What about if Gucci did something with Nike SB and made an amazing dunk high? Oh, sorry, that's already been done. Just not officially.
Would you like that?
I love that because it's not
that?
official. That's the entire thing. Like Black Sheep was so spot on with that shoe. So spot on. I love that. I love that so much.
I do have what you would call some designer sneakers.
You do? What's that?
Well, I've got a pair of Isabel Marants from like
Isabel Marant.
from like 10 years ago now.
Are they really that old?
Yeah.
Isabel Marant, like, so they're stacked high.
They're stacked. They're like a basketball sneaker, but they've got like a concealed wedge that you never know is there, and they kind of look a bit like the Back to the Future.
They look like space agey ones.
Yeah, they're at the time they were like super cool.
As defined by SJ. We've got this again. We've got the complete SJ. Like, we just need I think what we need is like some sort of SJ barometer on like cool factor on whether sneakers are good or bad. But go on.
So I've got those, and obviously I've got my Golden Goose.
That's true.
But I probably wouldn't buy another pair
of
Golden Goose.
Okay.
Because I've got enough.
Yeah, it's interesting. The thing with Golden Goose as a brand is, and we've been called out on this a few times, so they are hand finished, which means they are distressed before you buy them. So they're already distressed. And I think with Golden Goose, there was one particular sneaker that they put duct tape on.
There was, yeah, it's hilarious.
Now, I'm not being funny, but so your Golden Goose, you wouldn't know that they were like they'd been distressed or so. It was just a light. I'd call it light weathering, but it's going so far as to actually put duct tape on a shoe to try and imitate potentially what skaters do with Goop or with whatever else.
And that was kind of the point when I was over them as a brand. To be
Yeah,
honest.
it was just like too far. And like, however, for people who know us on YouTube, it is one of our best performing videos, one of the first ones that we ever made. Awful editing, awful audio, awful lighting. We are terrible. However, we do get a lot of comments on it. I've never bought a pair of and that's actually while we think about it. We just had a comment come in on YouTube. One of our regular viewers, Levi, he said, "I've never even bought a pair of ripped jeans. I just can't do it." Levi, I don't think I've ever bought a pair of ripped jeans,
No, you haven't.
do know somebody who has, and they might be sat to my right. So I think the interesting play then for sneakers is, should we buy distressed sneakers? I don't think we should, but SJ, I'd like your point of view.
Mine aren't that distressed, in fairness.
No, I didn't
Mine just
realise
have
that was a thing.
Mine just have a few little scuffs on them.
It's like they sort of got some carbon for, like when you burn a candle and you get the carbon on the inside of a candle.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of put their fingers in there and just rub that all over the
Yeah,
shoes.
that's kind of what they've done. Yeah.
I see you looking at the chat.
I was looking at the chat because I think Andy's making some good points about the Sakai Nike collab. That is a really, really good collab, and that's why most of the time I do like the Nike collabs, because one, they're staying true to their brand, whilst collaborating with a designer brand, and also the price point apart from these Jordans isn't always crazy. But I don't like them all. I'm gonna admit, because when Off-White did the 10, I really wanted either the AF ones or the Blazers.
Of course.
Because they were.
Of course.
Because at the time it was like.
It was interesting.
It was interesting. It was new.
Should have stopped there.
It should have stopped there, and I've kind of said that since, that I feel it should have stopped there. But yeah, I don't know.
So I just want to also to my point on, should we buy distressed sneakers already? One of our regular viewers and a member of the community, and who's also been on the podcast, Strix, says, so how about the Nigel Sylvester Air Jordan 1s? To which Levi, who is in the comments as well and has also been on the podcast, has said they get a pass. And I think that they get a pass for life. That they get all the passes I could possibly provide.
Yeah.
So, and it's I'm thinking.
I think the thing is though, is those Dior sneakers are nice. They just don't warrant. They're nice. I think they're boring but they don't warrant the price tag. But then if you look at like other sneakers that people are buying, like the Gucci ones, just look like Gucci knockoff versions of a sneaker from the market. Like the materials are cheap. Like I've picked them up in Heathrow just for a laugh in the duty-free bit, and I'm just like, there's just no way, because they're just hideous.
They do look like they've come from like the Sunday market, where there's all kinds of interesting brands.
Now I know they were going for like that knockoff from the market thing with the Gucci t-shirts a couple of years ago.
Really?
Quite a while. The ones that had the Gucci with the thing on. But the sneakers, it's just a quality. I just can't get over it that people spend that money for that bad quality. Sorry, I'm just laughing.
What are you chuckling
I'm
at
laughing
there,
at a
SJ?
comment in the chat from Ryan who says Lonsdale specials, and he's right. They are just awful, and that's kind of what they look like. And also, like,
Yep, come on, SJ.
obviously we know who's at Louis Vuitton now, Virgil.
Mm-hmm.
But Louis Vuitton sneakers, oh my God, again, hideous, absolutely hideous. Chanel sneakers, anybody that spends their money on them just needs their head tested.
Are you sure?
Because they are disgusting.
As I said, like everyone's into something.
But this is what.
So here's the thing.
Here's the thing. If it didn't have Gucci, Dior, Chanel, or Louis Vuitton on it, would any of these people buy these? No.
I don't think so.
Like the Balenciaga, the triple, whatever they were. Oh.
Some people, like, as I said, that is the beauty of what we have, though, is that everyone has to be in something. You know, everyone has slightly different tastes. Everyone likes different things. I do wonder about, particularly about Virgil, and the shoes that he's creating. Are those brands really innovating when it comes to the science of sneakers and the technology in sneakers?
Of course not.
I don't think so. I don't know. I can't profess to, whenever the news comes up with anything from those brands, wherever I pick my news up from, I tend to swipe past it. But I do wonder, like, are they really pushing the innovation in the design, in the technology? And I say that because if you look at the Fear of God shoes, they're very like pushing the boundaries of design. If you think about what the amount of technology that Adidas and Nike themselves, and actually, New Balance and all of the sports apparel, however they want to describe them, companies, they are pushing the boundaries of what's possible from a technology point of view. I don't know whether we see that in those high-end brands, and yet they still charge phenomenal prices, and I still think they mass produce them. I still do. I still think that they mass produce them. I swear that I've been into Heathrow, and they just have tons and tons. Like,
yeah, of course they do.
Like, and so
it's still.
Does it warrant it? And I know as well, everyone's going to tell me like it costs 60 cents to make a pair of Dunks. Maybe, but then there's the investment in the technology, and then someone might say, well, that's 30 years old. Fine, but there's a continual investment in technology, marketing, all of these other elements, because I also think probably Nike spends more money than, say, Dior on marketing across the year, and they seem to put back more into the community than, say, those brands as well. So, oh dear, I don't know where I went with that. That was a bit of a funny one for me. I got a bit righteous. I don't normally do the righteous thing. So, SJ, are there any other like high-end brands that we haven't had a little dig at today? I don't think.
What, they do sneakers?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think most of the main fashion houses do their own version of a sneaker now, and I'm just not a fan of them. There we go. End off.
I don't get it.
Fan of. I like stuff from some of the fashion houses. No, I've got a fancy watch on now.
You do.
It's but yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, come on, girl.
I would rather spend my money elsewhere.
So like, so we actually have Ryan coming in saying, "What I don't," and I'm going to kill the pronunciation of this. What I don't. So this
I've
is
got
what
the book upstairs.
This
as
is
well.
this is what Ryan has said. What I don't understand is how Martin Margiela, have I said that wrong? Probably. Will literally make trashed sneakers for silly prices, but they sell. I can't imagine having the kind of money and splashing it on trash just because of the name. And then, I like. So here's the question, SJ. Then, and I'm kind of like, we talked a little bit about the sort of hand-weathered, distressed sneakers earlier. If we win the lottery this evening, and in the UK it's I think 15 million GBP.
We're back to the lottery question.
Yeah, we're back to we're always back to the lottery. If we win
go
the
on
lottery
then. If
tonight,
I win it,
at 15 million pounds, and just for our US cousins, there's no tax on that. You're winning 15 million. Boom, get in there.
Yeah.
Would you buy the Dior's?
No.
There we go.
I might buy the Comte Castle.
Yeah, well, you were going to buy them anyway.
Because they're cheaper.
And there's the thing. Like, even having...
I'm a cheapskate, even if I had £15 million in the bank.
What if you
I'm not that much of a cheapskate, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. I honestly don't think...
Would you buy them?
So Levi doesn't think that tech in shoes is very important, personally. And this is a comment. So this is a comment that we've just got in on the live stream when we're recording this. And this is from Levi. Honestly, I don't think tech in shoes is very important, personally. Evolution sorted out our feet for us to work properly. I'd like to counter that, Levi. I would. Man has never been able to run the marathon under, what was it, 2 hours, SJ?
Yeah, correct.
Nike put in a ton of research to get the cushioning and the propelling just right. And I'm not a PE teacher. I wish the annex was here tonight and they this afternoon and they could explain this. To propel the human being faster forward, and continue with the cushioning protection so that through that kind of time period, the amount of distress that the body might experience will be less. That's the kind of technology that they need to do. Otherwise, we'd all still be wearing Keds from the 1900s. I think it was Keds, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've never owned a pair of Keds.
No. So I think it is. I think that the technology is important. I think, Levi, probably for you and I, what's happened is we've got stuck in our old ways and we just like a certain type of shoe. And I just want to say as well, I'm by no means a scientist. I just watched a video of marketing spiel, and obviously I fall for marketing every time because I work in marketing.
Do you know, so Ryan is saying basically, what if we have millions in the bank, would we buy something like the Air Mags?
M&M Jewels.
Yeah, or the undefeated J-Force. Personally, I wouldn't. I would...
Yep.
I would probably just carry on buying what I like. Because I'm not exactly radical when it comes to sneakers.
I think so. If we had,
I just have loads of blazers.
Oh my word! Come on, SJ, expand your mind, and expand your feet for like the experience that your feet might have.
Okay, so if we won £15 million tonight, what sneakers should I buy?
That's interesting. So well, it depends. We could get you the you know what would be really cool for you?
Go on then.
It'd be those Paris Dunks from a long time ago that are hyper rare. That I know one of our regulars, Alwyn, mowed the lawn. No, did he mow the lawn in those? I think he talked about that on the podcast. I would quite like to have a pair of Air Mags, just to see how they fit. I wouldn't wear them. I think they disintegrate. And actually, while we're talking about technology, if you think about the self-lacing technology that Nike's shaping and putting in shoes at the moment,
obsessed with.
I am obsessed with the technology in those shoes. I just like the noise to make or something like that. There is a lot going on in us. I'm so glad, everyone, like for people who are listening, you're not getting this kind of same experience that we're having as we're recording this, because we would normally record this without, I'm going to call them our live studio audience. Our live studio audience, because we're recording this live on the stream. And it's great to see people actually in the chat with us. And we've just, for, again, people who are listening, we've actually got 16 people viewing us now while we record this podcast live, which I'm really quite pleased. I think we'll do this again like this, SJ.
Yeah, I think So, yeah, just going back to Dior.
Dior.
Collab.
Can't say it without
I
building
lift
my lip.
I lift one of my eyebrows every time I say it. I'm like, no, watch, no, Dior.
Dior.
In fact, actually, I'm just thinking back. There was one thing I was going to buy in Dior a few years ago, which is like, it's like one of those beach bracelets, which sounds ridiculous now, and I'm actually want to slap myself as I say it. And I remember
You have permission.
this is at Heathrow T5, and oh my word, the two snooty sales assistants in there, they were just like chatting amongst themselves,
Just like we are.
just like we are when I was in there. There's nobody else in there. And they were so rude. Like, even if I wanted to buy it, there's no way I would have bought it from those two miserable bitches.
Please don't swear. I apologise for that,
swearing.
children. You know, we don't have any kind of language on this podcast that may offend you. So please carry on. So you know, one of the other points that one of our regulars, Jay Dolan, John, has made in our stream chat, and I'll just read this out to everyone so that you can hear it. The Dior collab has come about due to the popularity of sneakers. Sneakers have become very high priced, very high, I'm assuming priced or in demand, due to the exposure they now get with famous people. They are the biggest trend in fashion streetwear. And then he goes on to say, with a further comment in the stream chat, this collab wouldn't have happened 5 years ago.
No, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't. And I think I think like it's I think that's a fair comment from one of our regulars, Jay, and Jay Dolan. We've also done a podcast with him as well. So yeah, it's I think that's a good point. I think now, where will it go next? You know, I think if you think about this, does Nike create an offshoot brand that is high end? You know,
Well, I guess you could argue that they would probably argue like their Nike Lab is their version.
Yeah, true. You know, that's why I often think about this, just the value of these organizations. What's more important to them, the Dior piece, or is the Jordan brand more important to Dior? And
yeah, it's way more important to Dior than the other way around.
I feel at the moment that Jordan brand is more important to Dior than the other way around. Like, I think that Dior gets I think overall Dior probably gets more out of this from a
Of course it does. There's only so
association point of view. There's only so many silver foxes, as somebody said.
I was about to say there's only so many older ladies that can afford to buy Dior, you know.
And so actually what Jay Dolan is saying in our stream, and I was just saying obviously about Nike creating an offshoot brand like Toyota did with Lexus. I think if you think about it, you know,
like Rolex do with Tudor.
Exactly, you have Tudor and Rolex. I don't know. Like, I see far more Lexus on the road in the US than I ever saw here. It feels a different kind of brand.
It's like here. I think you do just think of it as an expensive Toyota, whereas in the US, Lexus seems to have still more of a luxury feel to it as a brand.
I think so.
I
think so.
Yeah, I know. This has sort of gone off piece.
It has gone off piece, but that's the whole point of our podcasts. That we had we sort of come up with a rough topic, or a conversation to have with one of you out there, one of our listeners and our viewers, and then we could just go off and meander. And for people who are listening, if you like this podcast, you like what we're doing, don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever else it is that you listen. That really does help us. If you want to appear on the podcast, don't forget to either hit us up on Instagram, just DM us, or you can there's a in the footnotes of this show there's a link you can click. If you're on Anchor, I'll also put in the link for how you can message us, and we can maybe pull your message into the next podcast that we do. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Leave us a comment if you like the idea of us recording these podcasts live on YouTube so that we can get them up on the same day. And I think, SJ, do you think we should say...
Hang on, I just... No, because I just want to go in. So one of our So Jay Donan's just said, is it Jordan fans buying them, or do you think any Dior fans will buy them? Okay, so somebody that I know, I know she's not going to listen to this. We are friends.
Yes.
But I can tell you now, she was looking at them for her husband.
Okay.
And there's no way that she would have looked at them if they weren't Dior.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know who I'm talking about.
So, I don't know.
Because then because she actually asked at Selfridges, is the price really £800? And I went back a bit, yes, it is.
Okay.
But I honestly don't think she would have looked at them if they weren't Dior.
That's fair. That's fair. I think for her, if they weren't Dior, but you know,
she just bought a Dior necklace for Christ's sake.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough.
Which just says CD on it. Here, gold chain with CD.
That's fair. Kim Jones used to work for Gimme 5 in the UK. So Alwyn, Alvin is one of our, he's a regular with us, and I'm going to read his comment out because I think this is really insightful. The main reason Dior have collaborated with Jordan is because Dior's creative director, Kim Jones, used to work for Gimme 5 here in the UK, who imported Supreme back in the day and are now Stussy Europe. Wow, that's a bit of a that's like a rounding of the.
There we go.
That's a really insightful comment.
I must admit, I don't actually know that much about Kim Jones.
No, I think that should be another topic for us to explore, SJ.
What, Kim Jones?
Yes. And so, everyone, I just want to thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We will be coming back with another podcast on Sneakers and Stories next week. I think, SJ, if you want to press the button, I'll fade us out.
Goodbye, all.
Thanks for listening to Sneakers and Stories.